It's not uncommon for an anime to have an inconclusive ending that encourages you to go and read the source material. This was the case for a guilty pleasure of mine a while back, Black Bullet. Now I've picked up the light novels and read them all, and there's still no conclusive ending. The writer had a mental breakdown, and the series rather abruptly ended. Given all that, is it still worth reading? Well, that's the question I'll be answering today. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present my review of Black Bullet. The setting of Black Bullet is kind of like the aftermath of a zombie apocalypse, except when people get infected, they transform into giant monster things called Gastrea instead of walking corpses. Regardless, they still quite like gnawing on human flesh, so humanity's not doing too great. Japan has been reduced to what are essentially a group of isolated city-states, and our protagonist Rentaro lives in the Tokyo area one. His job is being what's called a promoter, which entails helping superpowered lollies fight Gastrea. Yeah, you see, for some reason, little girls, called cursed children, can get infected without turning into an evil giant bug immediately. They get a power boost from being infected, so society thought, great, let's use these girls as child soldiers, pair each one up with an adult to control them, and get them to fight the Gastrea for us. Nothing morally objectionable about that. Anyways, the story is then half Rentaro and his lolly partner Enju fighting Gastrea, and half fighting other humans. Apparently, even when a common enemy has taken over 90% of the world and wants to eat humans, humans are just as happy to stab each other in the back as to actually band together and fight the common foe. Take your standard bounty hunter character. Cool, competent, and continually insolvent. Add a pinch of dead parent syndrome and justice complex from your average shonen protagonist. Mix in a bit of teenage angst, and that gives you Rentaro. He's not that interesting a character, but is well enough written that you can empathize with him. His partner, Enju, also with dead parents, is a really cute, energetic girl who's great at inspiring a feeling of must protect. I would like her a lot more though if she wasn't continually trying to seduce Rentaro. Seriously, the hell, she's a 10-year-old. What the bleep was the author thinking? Then we have Kisara, Rentaro's boss and tsundere love interest, also with dead parents. Apparently, the author really didn't want to write parental figures in this story. She appears to have a good head on her shoulders, but can get a bit psycho-revenge obsessed at times. Other than that, we have a necrophiliac mad scientist, Little Miss Perfect, and that rounds out the main characters at the start. As the story progresses, we get a couple more adults who join, along with a lot more lollies. And I'm sad to say that Rentaro does start to gain something of a harem. As I said at the beginning, this story is a guilty pleasure for me. It's fast-paced, full of action, and just really easy to get into. It's one of those sorts of things that if you turn off your mind and get on the ride, you'll enjoy where it takes you. You know the protagonist is going to win the fight, you know none of the really important characters are going to die, but watching how it happens is still cool. The characters aren't all that original, but they're likable and the interactions are funny. Finally, the romance between Kisara and Rentaro actually goes somewhere in a reasonable amount of time. At least until the story ends abruptly, I was fully invested in that relationship. So obviously, the easiest complaint to lob at this series is that it doesn't finish. And that criticism doesn't need that much explanation, so let's move on to the other problems. First, I can see some people disliking this series because they feel it's edgy. You know, protagonist dresses in black, tragic backstory, revenge subplot, gore, all that jazz. Not something that particularly bugged me, but definitely not some people's cup of tea. Another complaint I could see easily lobbed at this series is its sexualization of lollies. It's not really explicit, but just enough to make some people feel uncomfortable. Really though, the bigger problem is just that the story doesn't hold up too well once you start thinking about it. An easy example is the whole cursed children promoter partnership thing. Apart from edge cases like Rentaro, where the promoter has cybernetic enchantments or other special abilities, it's unclear what use they are. Also, the majority of cursed children don't have promoters and are discriminated against and forced to live in the slums. Squandered opportunities aside, this just seems like a disaster waiting to happen. I mean, the first moderately charismatic person who walks by could easily just tell the cursed children to rise up and overthrow their oppressors, and then uses a lolly army to take over the world. Having a large group of disenfranchised magical girls at your doorstep seems like a bad idea. So to summarize, to me Black Bullet is a guilty pleasure, but to someone else it could easily just be edgy lolly bait. Depends on how strongly you feel about these things. Regardless though, I don't think I can recommend it. You'll either find it too trashy, or you'll be frustrated by the lack of ending, neither of which are ideal. If you've already read this and are looking for something similar, or just want to find a fun read, Arifureta is another guilty pleasure of mine that I can recommend. It's hardly high-class literature, but it shares all of Black Bullet's good points and misses a few of its bad. Anyways, thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed the review. Cheers!